And good morning, good morning. Organic Minds Podcast, episode 23. Jumping on early Sunday morning. Early bird get the worm. Hey, for everybody who was tapped into episode 22 as a part of that podcast where, as the internet evolves and as time goes forward, we learn a lot more about podcasting and the rules. So rules are always changing. And so I learned, like, when it comes down to documentaries of certain things, right? They say you need permission. So I had to go through a process. It was not crazy because you're allowed to do it if you're teaching, but sometimes they think you're just playing the video. If they're not watching, they just see the video being played. So if it's educational, it's okay. But I want to say good morning to everybody on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and all over the net. And matter of fact, like I always tell you, when I say Instagram, let me make sure my Instagram is live. Here we go. So Instagram is working this morning. Here we go. Okay. So Instagram, for everybody on Facebook, good morning. See if I can get my tablet on page. It ain't a cord right now. But yeah, good morning, everybody. Tapped in. We got a good show this morning. Let me tell you my topics so that we can get through it. So hold on. I want to say good morning, see how everybody doing. Make sure everything checked in before we move forward. I try not to move too fast, y'all, before everybody tapped in. We got a couple topics today. So one, we're going to talk about the truth about Burna Boy's success with Diddy, because it's a lot of, I always wonder how he just came out of nowhere, right? And then we're going to talk about Justin Bieber exposing to Hollywood, with Candace Owens was breaking this down. We're going to build on that, because both of those got to do with Diddy. 7-year-old says that he was in a 9/11 plane crash. If you remember when I was on radio, like 2 years ago, I did an episode about people who, like children who were born or grew up and kept telling stories about they used to live over here or from here, and telling stories, and nobody believed them until they went to them places and asked people, did these people really exist? And they was like, yeah. So this is another one of those stories. And then we're gonna deal with a short video about Dr. Afrika speaking about melanin. Trenches news for everybody in the drill culture who dealing with the little Durk case, so they letting it be known, a YouTuber's letting it be known, like, hey, hold on, you made statements about little Durk before they was even investigating little Durk in the first place. You know what I'm saying? So we're gonna break that down. And then for the bonus video, because history is the key. Always bring history and special information to the public. The key to this is this. The special video, and I want to say rest in peace to Dr. Cress Welsing. We did a video a few years ago on her when she broke it down. It was one of the best videos on the convo, so I wanted to bring it back to her. Show love to my women educators. I think some of the best teachers of all are women because of certain natural components, especially when they really truly submitted to the knowledge. It's one of the most beautiful things you could ever see. So this morning, I want to say to all my people out there, good morning. Let's get to it. We're going to do my intro, and then we're going to come back, all right? Good morning to everybody. Good morning.
Mr. Lowe. Tell us about your father.
Why don't you tell us something about your father?
We're trying to get to know each other, Mr. Lowe.
I was trying to get to know you, Mr. Tolson.
Well, I'm not the one on the debate team.
Are we not engaged in a debate right now?
All right. I'll take the affirmative. Take the meanest, most restless nigger. Strip him of his clothes in front of the remaining male niggers, female niggers, and nigger infants. Tar and feather him. Tie each leg to a horse facing in opposite direction, set him on fire, and beat both horses until they tear him apart in front of the male, female, and nigger infants. Bullwhip and beat the remaining nigger males within an inch of their life. Do not kill them, but put the fear of God in them for for they can be useful for future breeding. Anybody know who Willie Lynch was? Anybody? Raise your hand. No one? He was a vicious slave owner in the West Indies. The slave masters in the colony of Virginia were having trouble controlling their slaves, so they sent for Mr. Lynch to teach them his methods. The word lynching came from his last name. His methods were very simple, but they were diabolical. Keep the slave physically strong, but psychologically weak and dependent on the slave master. Keep the body, take the mind. I and every other professor on this campus are here to help you to find, take back, and keep your righteous mind. Because obviously you have lost it. That's all you need to know about me, Mr. Lowe. Class dismissed.
And I tell you every day for the last couple of years, the reason why I do this podcast and always come to Educate in the Morning is to help you find, save, and keep your righteous mind. Because we living in the strange times today. So that's one of the reasons why I do this podcast. And I wanted it to be more than just history. So for those who didn't have the attention span for history or just to learn, because some people that just want the history, I always explain to them like, listen, we do current events, up-to-date things, and just things that are relevant to not just us, but the youth. So for the people that tell me like they watch this with their teenagers, their kids, you know what I'm saying? Or they give them an insight, or they sit down with their wives or husbands, right? Or mothers and fathers. It's something that we can all relate to and find a common ground for where the world is. So I use social media and everything to make points or to have conversation. So I want to go to one of the first points, just for a quick current event. I seen this on Instagram, and I wanted to say this for all the people that think that when you meet people that you think are good people, or got good hearts that are compassionate, or that are just people that you be like, man, you want to be around these people, and you know, you got to understand that they've been through a lot. They've been hurt a lot. They've been let down a lot. They've been judged, you know what I'm saying, mistreated. So, you know, we tend to treat people the way that we want to be treated. And in return, it's saying that, remember that when you come across those people, remember, understand who they are and why they are the way they are, so that you can value and appreciate it. You know what I mean?
A sensitivity and an understanding.
Let me go back. This joint be tripping. Let me go back for y'all.
Beautiful people we have known are those who have known defeat, known suffering, known struggle, known loss, and have found their way out of the depths. These persons have an appreciation, a sensitivity, and an understanding of life that fills them with compassion, gentleness, and a deep loving concern. Beautiful people do not just happen. It says the most beautiful people we have known are those.
And I want you to understand on a deeper level. Like, beautiful people are not just born, they're not just made, right? It's the things they've been through, how they had an appreciation for the hurt, the struggle, the strife, right? How they see the beauty in being accountable, how they see the kindness and the gentleness and being able to ease another's mind off of understanding what I've done, how I've done, what I've affected, how I've affected them, and how me being able to accept what I've done allow others to move forward, right? But also being able to take them same experiences that made most sour completely and have appreciation for them, so that they can project that peaceful, beautiful energy that you see when you come across these people, right? And my second part is, y'all know I be big on parenting.
Like she crazy?
Y'all know I be big on parenting and about, you know, the gap in between mothers and fathers. And I came across this video on YouTube, and this is something for, you can sit down with the kids, for the moms and dads, or the husbands and wives, or girlfriends and boyfriends, or the co-parenters out there who want to understand the importance of a mother and a father, and mom knowing how to step back, even though, you know, it might seem harsh, right? Because when I shared this yesterday, I had a woman come on the feed, and she was like, if I was a woman in the back, she was like, I would have been like, after the first minute, okay, that's enough. It make me feel like it's too harsh. Remember, the studies show that black women lead their children and single mothers lead their children to failure, prison, death, because they're putting the sensitivity that we put on women in our culture on their boys, right? But remember, we're gonna watch this video because the reason why he's sitting down and this man is in his face is because he was disrespectful to his mother and he was cussing and started taking out of control. See, one of the things I want to express to women is that even though he's a little boy, from the time he come out, he understands you're a woman. And then when he recognizes early, just like a man, when you start talking to them, these men can recognize certain things about you and they can play on them. So to underestimate the ability of this child that grows into this man to think that he doesn't have the same mechanism mentally to be able to play on it, right? Or to be able to see, okay, I can talk like this and I'm gonna get what I want and they're gonna do what I say. It shows a certain level of disconnect in our community, but more importantly shows how the same issues you can have with your men, you can have with the children. But you have to allow these men to come in and make an example, right? And so let me start this video over for y'all.
Cursing at her, telling her what you won't do. You won't clean your room. You won't do what you want to do. And you talk to your mother like that? Like you tough? Do you think you tough, little man? Talk to me like you talk to your mother. Talk to me. You think you tough, don't you? What's up on me? Cuss me out. Tell me you ain't gonna do what I say do. I dare you. I dare you.
Real.
You ain't gonna do it to me?
Real.
Why you do it to her? Why you talk to her disrespectfully? Why? Why do you talk to your mother disrespectfully? You don't know why you do it. Today I'm gonna help you find out why. And today it is. Today it is. Do you understand? You will not call your mother out of her name ever again. Like she crazy?
See, now I know for a fact it's a lot of women that's gonna say this is too much and this is abusive, talking all of that. Whose standard we living by? This will disgust me about our community. We living by, when Burna Boy said we don't have a culture, whose standards we living by? What proof do you have that men talking to boys lead them to be bad men? Because from what I've seen and I've researched in the last 100 years, or should I say 60, won't no men in the households, right? So if it won't no men in the households, then how will we know? This comes from the emotional feeling of that's coming from the relationship between mom and dad on a personal level, on one level. And also, sometimes it's not an issue and it's just coming from mom being uncomfortable. Or I know where dads are the ones that feel like it's too much and mom is trying to discipline. I've seen that too. So the real issue is about understanding the parenting. And if it's dad that isn't confrontational, then and mom has that authority, then he has to allow her to do it as well, right? But we're gonna break this video down a little bit more.
Cursing at her, telling her what you won't do. You won't clean your room. You won't do what you want to do. And you talk to your mother like that? Like you tough? Do you think you tough, little man? Talk to me like you talk to your mother. Talk to me. You think you tough, don't you? What's up?
He's saying, so little boy, he ain't want to clean his room. He was being disrespectful, right? It's certain things we see as men. See, what you got to understand is that you see how he in his face? Once we invade a young man's personal space, he got one or two choices. He either acts accordingly or make a challenge to the alpha of the house, right? Because in each household is the pack. So he has a choice to make, whether 5-year-old and up. When he invades the personal space, it's because the father or the man is realizing that he is invading the personal space of the alpha male, or if we don't, we just say the father, or his siblings, or his mother. So we violate the personal space intentionally because there's a submission that has to happen. You either gonna submit or you not. You don't submit, then now we're gonna have to figure out something here. Cause as dad, you can't make a stand and not stand on it, right? You're gonna have to stand on this shit. If you dealing with a man who stands on principle, right? I don't care how righteous that man is, preacher or nothing. Ain't no boy stepping to their father, disrespectful, none of that. Ain't no man that composed. Meaning that because it's not about him having self-esteem. Because remember, when he turns, if he says, you know what, I'm not doing this and walks away, in nature, that male just lost respect from his pack, from all the women, the children, and everything, and now that son becomes the alpha male. So you tell me how that differs in the family. This is what we have to understand on the psychological level of what's really going on in the households in America and why things are going so far astray, right? He's in his personal space because he wants him to know that I'm willing to take it as far as you want to take this. Now, the little boy he knows at that point, from the beginning of this conversation, he can read off body language, 85% communication nonverbal. He can read that his father is telling him, try me. I'm talking to you, but I really want to tear your little ass up, right? And even though mom might feel like he's approaching him like he's a grown man, that little boy is going to be a grown man at some point, right? Let me make sure I plug up this, y'all. That little boy gonna be a grown man. Not only that, he has to make a choice. Okay, he's way bigger than me, right? This is the key I want to give y'all and the gift to the women out there. Sometimes you gotta make a little boy do some shit. Sometimes as men, we gotta make a man do shit. That's just like in the streets. Whether if you understand it or not, these men are following down behind men that they look up to, but also men that can instill and get them to do shit that they fathers or that they mothers couldn't get them to do, right? And they giving them ultimatums, not allowing them to live on their free will, right? There's nothing wrong with this here, but in today's time, I know for a fact that a lot of people say that that's too much. And the fact that people say that this is too much bothers me, right?
For me, cuss me out. Tell me you ain't gonna do what I say do. I dare you. I dare you. You ain't gonna do it to me? Why you do it to her?
Basically saying, and this is what we showing you. When we get in these little boys' faces, these young men faces, and mom, you right there, and you feel we doing too much, what you should be paying attention to is his reaction. You shouldn't be worried about what I'm saying. You should be worried about his body language, his reaction, and let me explain even further. When you told him to do something, his body language was like, fuck you. When you were speaking to him, he was mouthy, right? When his body language with his father, he's sitting up in center, he's not saying anything. So his body language is completely obedient. He's not saying a word. In case you don't know, this morning, let me introduce you to what respect looks like. This is what real respect looks like. Because when that little boy go outside your house and go to school, this is the real shit he gonna have to deal with when he leave about your house. Whether if he in 8th grade, 7th grade, because some of these little boys already imposing their will on kids. So he at home abusing you, but he out in the world being abused, mistreated, and now he coming home lashing out on you because of what the world doing to him, and you can't get to the root of it because you catering to his feelings. See, Understand? That's why it's very important. But more importantly, he's saying like, you see how he's sitting there scared? Why you ain't popping shit to me? And if they bold enough to do it, then it's all no. That's the issue here.
Why you talk to her disrespectfully? Why? Why do you talk to your mother disrespectfully? You don't know why you do it. Today I'm gonna help you find out why. And today it is. Today it is. Do you understand? You will not call your mother out of her name ever again. Like she crazy, cursing at her, telling her what you won't do. You won't clean your room. You won't do what you want to do. And you talk to your mother like that? Like you tough? Do you think you tough, little man? Talk to me like you talk to your mother. Talk to me. You think you tough, don't you? What's up on me? Cuss me out. Tell me you ain't gonna do what I say do. I dare you. I dare you. You ain't gonna do it to me? Why you do it to her?
I hope that y'all can get my point. This is the issue in a lot of households. Remember that these young men gonna go in some household and be the same way with these women that they are. That same disrespect they showing and that lack of care and that lack of listening is gonna carry over to their fatherhood. And as a woman, you're responsible. Good, bad, and different. As men, we got to do better and learn to get better at saying, you know what? If this is what you want to fight and protect, I respect it. If this is what you feel like your energy and your compassion is this is what you want to focus on and want to cover, you can cover it. But we have to make better choices and say, you know what? I'm good. Because what's not good about this is at the end of the day, it's abuse, right? This man had to already grow up. He already went through this with his father or mother or whoever instilled this same principle. Because remember, we're coming to instill the same principles that the same reason why you like us is the same reason in those things this was instilled when we was younger, or we would have been the same piece of shit men that y'all was trying to get away from. So I hope that y'all can get this for the people tapped in on the convo. And I be so honest and 100 about it, because I talked in the last 2-3 years. I got hundreds of people that talk to me about this men. And it's sad that this is how selfish the society has become about emotions. Our feelings, the reason why we sleep and fucked up as a people in America, because we emotional based. We're not intellect based. Oh, you don't like how something makes you feel. That's okay. We don't like how something, you know what I mean? It's so many things, but how I feel ain't gonna win me a championship. You know what I'm saying? I gotta get out my feelings and go work harder. How I feel ain't gonna get this album done and sold, right? But how I feel does affect what I make. I can put my feelings in the music, but I can't let my feelings dictate what's hot or not. I gotta let it's other factors that vary into this situation and this story. So next thing I want to get to y'all about is this Burna Boy. So it's a lot coming out behind this Burna Boy and how Burna Boy got successful. When I seen it, I knew it from the jump. See, we often be sometimes as people that want things like musicians or people that create and record deals or clothes designers, and because we get done so dirty by people around us, you can easily look at like, man, everybody's supporting these people. We got to understand people brainwash and they buy whatever they feel like society tells them is hot. But at the same time, we don't know what the hell is going on in the background and why they're getting this look. And this is what we learned about the industry in all businesses, right? So they're going to break down what's going on with Burna Boy.
Burna Boy finally agrees. Burna Boy just dropped a bombshell on his Snapchat, and Diddy's response would shock you.
Take that pain. Take it. Take it. You pushing me back. No.
Crazy.
Don't run from me. Do not fucking run from me. You already knew. the type of nigga I am before you got here. Don't play. Relax your legs and submit to me.
Success in the music industry often appears glamorous and awe-inspiring,
Crazy.
but it can come with secrets that few dare to talk about.
Yo, that just bugged the fuck out. That's just bugged the fuck out. So we run around here low self-esteem because the people around us is looking up to these niggas. He said, nah, you knew what you was getting into fucking with a nigga like me. Relax them legs and submit. Damn. Bro, that's deep. That's a whole nother level of some shit. And it's fucked up because this the niggas that the women going after and chasing, and they think these real niggas and wonder why they distortion of what's real and what a man is fucked up.
Burna Boy, Nigeria's Grammy Award-winning artist, has captivated the world with his sound. However, recent rumors surrounding his relationship with music mogul Sean Diddy Combs have put a shadow on his rise to the top. Let's explore the intricacies behind Burna Boy's success, the role Diddy played in it, and the scandals that have surfaced in recent times. We'll delve into the allegations, investigate the cryptic messages both stars have shared on social media, and unravel the layers of mystery that make this one of the most talked about stories in the music industry today. Burna Boy, born Domini Ebenolu Ogulu, quickly became one of Africa's most influential musical exports. With hits like Ye and Anybody, he found an audience that stretched far beyond his native Nigeria. His Afro-fusion sound combined with his bold presence made him an icon, not just in Africa, but on the global stage. But while fans were celebrating his rise, there were whispers behind the scenes. His 2020 album Twice as Tall cemented his global presence and earned him a Grammy, but the story behind its production raised questions. Produced in collaboration with Diddy, a legendary American music mogul, Twice as Tall propelled Burna Boy to new heights, but at what cost? Twice as Tall was celebrated worldwide, hailed as a masterpiece that blended Afrobeat with international sounds. Executive produced by Diddy, the album showcased Burna Boy's talent and highlighted Diddy's influence. Yet, rumors persisted that the Grammy win wasn't just about the music. There were questions about what role Diddy played behind the scenes. While Burna Boy basked in the glow of his Grammy success, his relationship with Diddy began to face scrutiny. Was this just a professional collaboration, or was there more happening behind closed doors? Sean Diddy Combs, a music industry titan, is no stranger to controversy. With a career spanning decades, Diddy has been involved with some of the biggest names in the business. When Diddy became involved in Burna Boy's Twice as Tall, many saw it as the merging of two powerful forces: Africa's rising star and America's music royalty. Diddy spoke highly of Burna Boy, claiming their collaboration was transformative, despite the constraints of the pandemic that limited their in-person interactions. Burna Boy, too, praised Diddy's involvement, calling it a connection that went beyond just music. But behind the smiles and Instagram posts, there were murmurs that the relationship wasn't as straightforward as it seemed. Mentorship or manipulation. Speculation arose that Burna Boy had bent to Diddy's influence to secure his success in the industry. Critics began to wonder whether Burna's Grammy win was truly earned, or if Diddy's involvement had more to do with industry politics than musical talent. Was Burna Boy being groomed as the next big international star, or was he being used to further Diddy's legacy? The speculation only grew when Nigerian rapper Speed Darlington made startling accusations. He implied that Burna Boy had compromised himself to advance his career, and when these claims surfaced, they added fuel to the already growing fire. What did Darlington know, and why did he disappear shortly after making these accusations? Speed Darlington, a Nigerian rapper known for his brash and unfiltered comments, shook the internet when he implied that Burna Boy's relationship with Diddy wasn't just professional. Darlington hinted that Burna had bent to Diddy's influence to secure his spot in the music industry. His accusations were bold, unverified.
I mean, for what we know right now about hip hop and a lot of these niggas that we looked up to, you know, sometimes you got to take a win if you solid and you never took them deals and you still fighting. But in this story with Burna Boy, I mean, It's not even surprising. That's why I said we gotta also be like, damn, Nip took this, you know what I'm saying? He was involved with Diddy, you know what I'm saying? Diddy play a real sick game.
But impossible to ignore. Shortly after making these claims, Darlington disappeared. His sudden absence from the public eye fueled rumours that something sinister had occurred. Theories began to circulate online, with some even speculating that Burna Boy or Diddy had something to do with Darlington's disappearance. His mother made a public plea for help, asking for Burna Boy to release her son. A cry for help. Darlington's mother's emotional appeal went viral. She begged Burna Boy to release her son, sparking even more controversy. While Burna Boy remained silent, the internet speculated whether Darlington's disappearance was linked to his accusations against Burna and Diddy. Was this just another conspiracy theory, or was there truth behind the rumours? As if the story wasn't already complicated, a leaked audio surfaced online. The audio allegedly featured a conversation between Burna Boy and Diddy, with some claiming it contained inappropriate content. Though Burna Boy's legal team worked quickly to suppress the tape, its existence continued to spread across the internet. Fans and critics alike questioned the legitimacy of the tape. Was this truly Burna and Diddy? What were they discussing, and why were they so desperate to keep it hidden? The ambiguity only added to the scandal, raising more questions than answers. Was this part of a larger attempt to control Burna Boy's narrative, or was the audio a complete fabrication meant to stir controversy? In the midst of the swirling rumours and scandals, Burna Boy took to Instagram to share a cryptic message. He posted "Everyone wants your spot till they see the work it takes to be in that spot." Many interpreted this as a direct response to the rumours about his relationship with Diddy and the alleged shortcuts he took to secure his success. But what did Burna Boy mean by work? Was he talking about the countless hours of dedication it took to make twice as tall a success, or was he alluding to something more? Diddy wasn't silent for long. He posted and quickly deleted an Instagram story that seemed to reference "Burna Boy, I helped you win your first and only Grammy Award, and now you think you don't need me." The post, though brief, sparked intense speculation. Was there a falling out between Diddy and Burna? Had Burna tried to distance himself after getting what he needed from Diddy? Or was this just the next chapter in a complicated mentor-protege relationship? In an industry where fame and fortune often come with strings attached, Burna Boy's rise to the top seems anything but ordinary. While he continues to dominate charts and win over fans worldwide, the scandals surrounding his relationship with Diddy suggest a deeper, darker narrative. Success in the music industry is rarely straightforward. Behind every award and hit song, there are politics, alliances, and power plays that the public rarely sees. Did Burna Boy simply play the game better than anyone else, or was he entangled in something much more dangerous? Diddy's influence in the industry is undeniable. As someone who helped launch the careers of artists like the Notorious B.I.G. and Usher, Diddy's mentorship is highly sought after. But with that mentorship comes immense power. If Diddy truly did play a pivotal role in Burna Boy's success, how much of that power did he wield over Burna? Burna Boy's Grammy win is a landmark moment for African music, but the persistent questions about how he got there
I mean, the fact that he just bent down while Diddy was, that type of shit is that. It's gay as hell.
If Diddy truly did play a pivotal role in Burna Boy's success, how much of that power did he wield over Burna? Burna Boy's Grammy win is a landmark moment for African music, but the persistent questions about how he got there continue to linger. Did Diddy help him for the love of music, or were there ulterior motives? As the rumors spread, fans and critics alike began to take sides. Some praised Burna Boy for his hard work and talent, while others believed that his rise was tainted by questionable decisions and powerful influences. The narrative continued to shift as more allegations surfaced about Diddy's behavior in the music industry, with over 120 cases being prepared by attorney Tony Busby against the music mogul. Busby's involvement brought a new layer of credibility to the accusations, and his comments about other celebrities potentially being named only fueled the fire. Would Burna Boy's name be included in the lawsuits, or was he simply a bystander in a much larger web of corruption? As Burna Boy's career continues to soar, the rumors, scandals, and allegations surrounding his relationship with Diddy remain a constant undercurrent. What began as a celebrated mentorship has now become a story of power, control, and secrecy. Burna Boy's cryptic Instagram post "Everyone wants your spot till they see the work it takes to be in that spot" is a powerful reminder that success in the music industry is rarely as simple as it seems. But what kind of work does it truly take to reach the top? Is it long nights in the studio and a relentless drive, or is there something darker lurking behind the scenes? As more information comes to light, one thing is certain: the truth behind Burna Boy's rise to the top is far more complex than anyone could have imagined. Only time will reveal the full story of how Burna Boy, Diddy, and the music industry are intertwined in a narrative that stretches far beyond music.
Burna Boy finally agreed.
The whole conversation is weird, but the fact that we even got to have this conversation or even
Is that you, baby?
look at it that way, that's the
Partner,
where's this coming from?
I know damn well I'm dreaming, right? You cool, baby Paul? You know what this is? What you mean I know what this is, man? Oh,
Yeah, it is
snap. Pam sent you, right?
crazy. I don't even know that was some Martin in the background, right? I don't even know what that was, but the fact that we even had that conversation is crazy. You know what I mean? As a man, you don't even want people seeing that light. But the fact of the matter is, and people you look up to in all these fields, you know what I mean? It's something to think about for everybody chasing something. You know, you saying depressed your whole life thinking you ain't did something right. When it ain't that you ain't did nothing right, you just ain't do those things, right? So next we're gonna deal with, let me let this go past. And this is about another side of Hollywood. We dealing with Justin Bieber that came out and Candace Owens was breaking this down. Making sure the sound is on.
My biggest concern when I was thinking of getting Botox Cosmetic was
losing my expression.
This, you guys. He's apparently unfollowed all of his closest Hollywood managers, even the bodyguard, in a sign that some people are saying is more evidence of the Diddy fallout. And speaking of Justins, I really hope that we're going to have time to get to Justin Baldoni and Blake Lively, but I don't feel like we will. Anyways, let's get started. Welcome back to Candace.
Let's skip up.
Suddenly he became very emotional, because that kind of happens for people that go through addictions and they're finding their sobriety and they're reflecting on who they were throughout those addictions. You will have these emotional breakdowns. And when it came to Justin Bieber, people wanted to know, what were those breakdowns really about? Okay. And so I'll give you just one example of what I'm speaking about. He did an interview back in 2020 with Zane Lowe. I think this was on Apple Music. And he was speaking about another young artist that was coming up, Billie Eilish, and Eilish. And he was basically speaking about how he wanted to protect her because she was now another young person, a rising artist in the industry. And sort of out of nowhere, he became quite overcome with emotion. Take a listen.
Did you feel protective of her?
Yeah, I definitely feel protective of her. It was hard for me being that young and being in the industry and not knowing where to turn, and everyone, telling me they love me and, just turn their back on you in a second. So yeah, it's hard because I want her to know that, she can count on me. But at the end of the day, I don't want to, never going to force myself to be in a relationship with her. It has to be natural, right? So I just kind of, let her do her thing. And if she ever needs me, I'm going to be here for her. But yeah, just protecting those moments, because people take for granted encounters and yeah. So yeah.
It's crazy.
I just
Look, man, just looking at that, you could tell. Look at what they did to bro. Look at what the industry did to Justin Bieber. He's unstable mentally, emotionally. He don't look like himself. He don't look comfortable in the skin. He don't look like he feels like a man. You can see it, everything about him. He wiping his nose. You can see he has probably a drug addiction at this point. This is what we chasing.
I just want to protect her, you know? I don't want her to lose it. I don't want her to, you know, go through anything I went through. I don't wish that upon anybody. So, yeah, if she ever needs me, I'm just a call away.
I'm not even kidding. Watching that clip makes me emotional because he is saying so much without really saying anything. Protect Billie Eilish from what? From who? What is he so concerned about when he sees this young person in the industry? What exactly did he go through? Well, I think I have an idea, because just 2 years after being a 13-year-old, getting his entire career, seeing this little hopeful, joyful young 13-year-old, Justin Bieber turned 15, and it suddenly seemed that Hollywood was keen to almost initiate him. I think that's the right word. Like, there was almost like this initiation that he needed to go through. So I want you to be now super uncomfortable and watch this video of an interaction between him and none other than Diddy. Take a listen.
Justin, you ever seen the movie 48 Hours? Right now, he's having 48 hours with Diddy, him and his boy. They're having the times of their lives, like, you know, where we hanging out and what we doing. We can't really disclose, but it's definitely a 15-year-old's dream. You know, I have been given custody of him. You know, he signed to Usher. I had legal guardianship of Usher when you know he did his first album. I did Usher's first album. I don't have legal guardianship of him, but for the next 48 hours, he's with me. So and we gonna go full crazy.
Going crazy.
So young Justin Bieber, who was signed by Usher, involved with Scooter Braun, now all of a sudden he's being put in the hands of Diddy, who, it is true, he became the legal guardian for Usher. You can look up all of the allegations of what Diddy did to Usher. A lot of this coming out via multiple lawsuits that essentially, if we were going to put it in a nice context, or at least use a euphemism for something that's really disgusting, the allegations are essentially that Diddy very much...
Think about it. I seen that video a minute ago, and he was like, "We're gonna go ball crazy." You know what I'm saying? That's what a predator look like. You know what I'm saying? That's what a predator look like. And this is where a lot of the people that we idolize and look up to, this is who they was around, this is what they was going through. And hardly anybody said nothing. Sad. You know what I'm saying? We tend to talk about R. Kelly. He didn't have a third of the power that Diddy had. So I want y'all to think about it. And then on a deeper level, when they first got to Hollywood, they was regular people. But what did they see in their experiences that made them feel like they could do this and get away with it? Who was already doing stuff like this in Hollywood? And did they have to do this?
Initiated Usher into Hollywood. And as we are going through these lawsuits and Diddy is in prison, we are recognizing that everybody knew this was an open secret about what Diddy was doing. So it just begs the question, who allowed Justin Bieber to be in the presence of this man, knowing what he was up to, allegedly up to? That seems to be very clear, that there is some veracity to those claims. Anyways, I want to also just show you this montage. This is a montage that was shared by Evie Magazine. They do great work on their TikTok of Justin Bieber, again, just 15 years old, in Hollywood, surrounded by a bunch of adults. And you let me know if any of this registers to you as normal. Take a listen.
I feel violated right now. Wow.
Just lean into me again. You smell amazing. How old are you?
Thank you.
How old are you?
I'm 16. I'll be 17 in like 2 weeks.
I don't ever remember smelling that good at 16. Like that was bad. Yeah. Wow, look at your eyes. Look at what a beautiful place. All right, now it's time to...
Would you rather have to be naked on stage during one full song, or drink a cup of blended worms? Answer Justin Bieber.
I have like little girl fans. I can't go.
Okay, imagine that.
You know I got bulimia. Hey, this is a brand new.
Has your mom given you the sex talk yet? I mean, like, I really don't want to have that conversation with my mother. Yeah. Like, I've kind of had it with my father. You want to hear? Oh, really? See, my parents never gave me the sex talk. Okay.
I mean, we just watched like some of the weirdest shit ever, and this stuff was like on national television, where this gay man is basically flirting with Justin Bieber on national TV. It's Hollywood. Like what happens is they get in these environments where this is normal, and then when they want to destroy these people, right? They just show stuff that they were doing in this environment, but in the environment, this was normal shit. You know what I'm saying? Oh, for y'all. But it's weird, but it's not weird because I watch people on a day-to-day basis see shit that's not right and just act like they don't see it.
Last one is really just the sickest, asking a young teenage boy whether or not he's had the sex talk. Like, he's doing a media hit on a radio, and she's asking him as one of the questions, like, have you had the sex talk? This is Hollywood for you guys. This is what I've been speaking to you about. And it has just become so unbelievably clear that it is dark and it is demonic. And so it's not exactly shocking that within no time, Justin Bieber was hooked on drugs. Okay. He spoke about this openly. He was reflecting on this time period, saying that he first became dependent on marijuana when he was 13 years old. And then thereafter, he found himself, quote, sipping lean, popping pills, doing Molly, shrooms, everything throughout his teenage years. And we can definitely bet, after having seen some clips of him partying with Diddy and learning of what these lawsuits are alleging, that essentially there were drugs that were intentionally put in the drinks, that there was this pink cocaine. You know, we've gone through a lawsuit plenty of times. We can imagine that perhaps Justin Bieber was introduced to some drugs that he didn't even know that were being introduced to him. But all of that changed for him when he met and began dating and got engaged to Hailey Bieber. This really became a happy story. He started journeying through faith, spending a lot of time with pastors. Again, going back to those breakdowns he was having, he seemed to be pulling away from his old Hollywood circles. Him and Hailey got married in September of 2019. And then I noticed something really weird last year. Now, I want to be clear. You guys obviously know, if you listen to this podcast, that my brain works in very weird ways. I notice things that people are not noticing. Okay. I'm essentially that training scene. If you guys have seen Men in Black, the movie, Will Smith's character is essentially being tested. All of these agents are taken into this simulated target process where they're supposed to shoot at these cardboard aliens. And then suddenly Will Smith, out of nowhere, shoots a cardboard little girl. I'm going to show you that clip because this is me. Take a listen.
May I ask why you felt little Tiffany deserved to die?
Well, she was the only one that actually seemed dangerous at the time, sir.
How'd you come to that conclusion?
Well, first I was going to pop this guy hanging from the street light, and then I realized, he's just working out. And how would I feel if somebody come running in the gym, bust me my ass while I'm on a treadmill? Then I saw this snarling beast guy, and I noticed he had a tissue in his hand. I realized, he's not snarling. He's sneezing. Ain't no real threat there. Then I saw little Tiffany. I'm thinking, 8-year-old white girl, middle of the ghetto, bunch of monsters, this time of night with quantum physics books. She about to start some shit, Zed. She's about 8 years old. Those books are way too advanced for her. If you ask me, I say she's up to something.
See, good old-fashioned street instinct where you're just like, wait a second, the little girl's weird. It's all these aliens and monsters, and she's walking down calmly. That's how my brain works. And I'm explaining that to you because, well...
So that's real, though. I ain't never think about it like that. That was too real. So you got the monsters and everything, and the thing that stuck out the wheel, right? This thing that stuck out was like, it's this little white girl walking through the hood. This real though, like this to tell you how intelligent, even though it was a joke. And she got physics books in her hand. Oh, she about to start some you know what I'm saying? And out of everything, the average person is worried about the monsters. But you got certain people who are looking at the scenario like, okay, what is this little girl doing out here, right? But it's just to show you the difference between how people look at things and investigate things.
well, listen to this podcast, but also because last August, when Hailey Bieber gave birth to their baby Jack, her and Justin's baby, everyone was congratulating them. They were like, yay, yay, yay. And then here comes me. I noticed little Tiffany. I noticed this really strange pattern of articles that registered to me as a Hollywood attack on Justin Bieber. I sensed that he was going to go through a black propaganda campaign. I'll explain what that is. But first, we're going to go back so I can show you what I'm speaking about. It was very strange articles about his relationship that stood out to me during this time. Take a listen. But it was actually something else that caught my eye about this pregnancy and this birth. And it was that leading up to it, just a few weeks before they gave birth. So Hailey Bieber was very pregnant. Suddenly, there were a series of attacks on her and attacks on their marriage. And I'm just giving you just like one of these, showing you, I guess, a bunch of these headlines that came out, essentially saying that Justin Bieber was miserable and that Hailey was blowing through millions of his fortune on her wild luxuries, including a second engagement ring that was worth 1.5 million. You can see another one here in the corner says Bieber having marriage issues, and desperate Justin Bieber accepted an offer from an Indian couple to do their gig for $10 million to keep up with Hailey Bieber's excessive spending. I mean, that's stupid. You offer me $10 million to come sing at your wedding. I will be there. I will learn to sing for $10 million. I will sound like Aretha Franklin. You offer me $10 million to come sing at your wedding.
Generate sampler. All right, so let's see what happens.
You see how they can spin a narrative to a story easily? Like, oh, he's going broke. That's why he took $10 million. Who wouldn't take $10 million to perform somewhere? Right? Who wouldn't?
Yes, all of these articles started popping up. And what I basically said in that episode was that Justin Bieber was going through a black propaganda campaign. I'm just extremely in tune with that. One, because I've survived a black propaganda campaign. I know what it looks like when powerful people in the background have decided they want to take you out. And I was made to be in tune with this for a couple of reasons. The first is that the first time that I had even been exposed to this idea of Hollywood operating like a gang, meaning that if you try to get out, they will destroy you. I was told that by Kanye West, obviously my friend. He was explaining this. I was not up to date on Hollywood, how Hollywood was established. I hadn't read the necessary books, but he was explaining to me that they will take everything from you, literally everything from you, if they cannot control you. We all remember this. We all remember all the headlines. Kanye's crazy. He's really lost it, whatever. But I just listened to him and everything that he was saying. And while it sounded unique to me, obviously, as someone who is not in Hollywood, now that I've dabbled and gone through those things in politics, it's not entirely unlike Hollywood. Perhaps it's much more vicious, but it was clear to me that Justin was trying to get out. It was very clear to me that Justin wanted a new life for himself, but he didn't want to be controlled by people in Hollywood. I remember Ye saying to me also that the network of people that is around you, he kept referring to them as handlers, right? He kept saying, the manager, picture the show Entourage. I've never seen it, but I know that it was very big, but the managers and the lawyers and everybody that's in your orbit is actually working together, and they're all pretending that they're your friends, right? So when he says in that clip, Justin Bieber speaking about Billie Eilish, and he says, I know that people will be around you and they'll say that they are your friends, and then they'll stab you in the back. That's what he's referring to. He's basically saying that there are all of these people that are pretending to love you, and they don't actually love you. They are there to control you. That is what Kanye said, and Justin Bieber is now essentially replicating exactly what Kanye is saying, but in a very different way, less drastic. And so I just began to notice that because Justin Bieber was getting clean, they were going to have to try to take him out in some way. And the attack on his wife was very obvious to me. That is something that they do. It is something that was also done to me. My PR person said they started getting phone calls. People were trying to figure out if there was an angle to attack my relationship and to attack my marriage. Are they having trouble? Is there trouble in paradise? That is a black propaganda campaign for which Justin Bieber was victim to. And I think this is...
We seen the same thing with like R. Kelly, you know what I'm saying, the Diddy case, or anytime, even with Kanye. So for people that was already aware of what's going on in the industry and behind the scenes, we can see it every time they're doing it. But the public, when they'll broadcast it and humiliate them because they know most people just caught up living their everyday lives and thinking that these people are just doing. They did it with Martin Lawrence, all these people. We just didn't know the signs back then. We were too young. Now we do. So that's why we got to be very careful, even when we talk about Kanye, because he knows, just like people who know. Sometimes we say things now and get laughed at, but we know when the time is right. The same way they was laughing at this person, they're going to look at him like he was prophetic. or like he was just so wise, but he was telling you, we just wasn't listening.
Going on for years. And so Justin Bieber, we now know that the Diddy thing, it must be very hard for him to process and recognize what was actually done to him. Now he has a son, right? So everything changes when you become a parent, and you will do anything to protect your parent. And suddenly you realize how young you were. Like, of course, when you're 13, you think you're old. You're like, I'm 13 years old. I'm ready to grow up. I mean, he had like braces. You think you're 15. I'm all grown up. I'm now having fun. I've got all this money, and all of these celebrities are around me, and all of these people around me love me. And then you become a married person, and you have children, and you're sober, and you find Christ. And you look back and you go, my goodness, I was surrounded by demons. You know, this is why I tell you guys, there are books that you must read. You must read Hollywood Babylon to understand that it has always been this way. You must also read The Assault on Truth by Jeffrey Mason. I told you about this guy who was working at the Sigmund Freud archives. The key to all of this is understanding Sigmund Freud psychology, gaslighting. The Black propaganda is essentially gaslighting people, right? And understanding that Sigmund Freud, the people that created PR, that created propaganda in America, it's all the same family. They know exactly what they're doing. They are trying to mentally break you when they do these things. And they are now targeting Justin Bieber. And he's not the only one, right? Kanye had to get out, lost his whole family, was called crazy 1,000 different ways. Or you end up like Britney Spears, and they severely medicate you. If you try to speak out about anything, it's like, look how crazy she is. But they're actually trying to drive you to the brink of crazy. And if they don't do that, they're just going to try to destroy your reputation. That is what is going on with Justin Bieber. Similarly, Russell Brand. When Russell Brand was a drug addict and a sex addict, Hollywood loved him. Suddenly he gets clean, he gets married, he has kids, he's sober, he's talking politics, and worst of all, he's talking Jesus Christ. And what do they say? Oh, you know what? 20 years ago, actually, when he was a sex addict, it looks like he may have raped someone. That's what Hollywood does. If you're damaged goods, they want you because they can control you. If you're not damaged anymore, then they're going to try to attack you and other mechanisms because they can't have you revealing the secrets of Hollywood. So we're speaking about Justin Bieber today because he's making some interesting moves. He has currently moved to unfollow his entire previous management team. He's unfollowed Scooter Braun. He has unfollowed Allison Kay, who is his former general manager. He has unfollowed Ryan Good. To be clear, Usher brought on Ryan Good to be Justin Bieber's road manager. And he has also even followed Kenny Hamilton, who was his longtime bodyguard. With everything that we know about bodyguards, things that are coming up in this Diddy case, the weird connection to the Michael Jackson case with bodyguards, it begs the question, why would you unfollow this person? And by the way, Kenny Hamilton, someone slid in his DMs and said, hey, why did Justin Bieber unfollow you and block you? And he's like, I have no idea why. You have probably an idea why. Okay. You've been around him. You've been around his entire life. You've seen what he has gone through, and you sat by and did what? Like, I was just doing my job and letting a teenager be involved with these sorts of people, knowing that he was definitely probably plied with alcohol and making decisions. And even potentially, if the Diddy ring is proven to be true, and I think that it will be proven to be true, even potentially recorded, doing things that he would never have done in his sober mind, for the purpose of being controlled and manipulated so that he would never engage in wrong think in Hollywood. Justin Bieber is sending a strong signal that he too believes that there is potentially a lot of power in Hollywood that is manipulating, controlling, and demonizing, possessing people with demons intentionally with the purpose of controlling the message. Hailey Bieber has also followed suit, and she has even gone so far as to have blocked some of these people on Instagram. So we have to ask ourselves, what is going on in the wake of the Diddy case? We can only speculate, but I will tell you what I believe. I believe that Justin Bieber is sober. I believe he is.
It's not just the music industry. Even people that's not in the industry, just in everyday life, surrounded by people that they think good for them, but really these people not good for them. These people really demonic, right? This is going on in every city, even before the money. With the music and the way the world is today, they got us selling out and selling our soul before we even get to the door, right? Because they already embedded it in the culture to their best a bit through the music, through the visualizations, through everything. But it's not crazy at this point, because a lot of people have tried to explain it, and everybody discredits the people trying to expose. So we always say all these people said around Hollywood have said nothing, but the people who said something Look at what we said to him. Did we listen? Did we investigate? Did we stop supporting? Or did we continue to rock with him?
Clear thinking, and I believe that he is Christian, and so Hollywood must necessarily take him down. I'm a believer. Justin, got your back. Whenever you want to speak about everything that happened, choose me, pick me. I am your girl. All right, guys, I'm quickly going to tell you about Preborn. You know, I absolutely love them. January is considered Sanctity of Life Month, a time that we honor the over 66 million babies whose lives have been tragically ended through abortion. Sadly, since Roe was overturned, babies' lives are at an even greater risk. The abortion pill accounts for over 60% of all abortions now, making this tragedy available 24/7. But in the midst of this darkness, there is a light that shines through, and that is Preborn. Preborn has rescued over 300,000 babies from abortion. On average, they rescue over 200 babies a day. When a woman considering abortion hears her baby's heartbeat and sees that baby on an ultrasound, the baby's chance at life doubles. Preborn very much needs our help. For just $28, which is the cost of a dinner, you can sponsor an ultrasound to introduce a mother to her baby for the first time. 100% of your donation will go towards saving babies. Donate, you just dial pound 250.
That's another key. When you go, now you go with your girl to get an ultrasound and all that to see how much it costs. But that's how much they cost. And you going to pay $300, $400, $500 at the hospital. And they playing that.
50, and you say the keyword, which is baby. That's pound 250 baby. Or you can donate securely at preborn.com/Candace. Again, that is preborn.com/Candace. All right, guys, let's get into some of these stories. Everybody is speaking about Mark Zuckerberg. Mark Zuckerberg has essentially, in my view, been an absolute monster. He has been an enemy to free speech. By the way, I do not buy the Facebook origin story. Don't even get me started. I could do a whole episode on how I believe Facebook has always been a product of the CIA, that there's this whole ring at Harvard, and Zuckerberg is just like picked as a tool. You know how you always know if something is CIA? When it gets the Hollywood treatment, when they turn it into a movie and they're trying to create a legacy, like this is a film of the true story of what happened. Always means it didn't happen like that once you explore Pentagon's amazing budget that they have. They have offices. They have, like, the Pentagon has offices dedicated to Hollywood films. None of that is normal. Anyways, I don't want to go off on an entire rant. But essentially, Zuckerberg, as we know, went down to Mar-a-Lago. He met with Trump. Make of that what you will. All of these techies now swarming Trump. What I make of it is that Trump should not be engaging in this. I don't like it. My gut intuition says a no, a no-go. Obviously, Trump's intuition is telling him something differently, but I have to speak my own mind and remain my own person. And now Zuckerberg has come out of that meeting and he's announced that he's getting rid of Facebook fact checkers. Now, you'll remember notoriously, I sued Facebook and Zuckerberg because I lost, I'm not kidding, millions of dollars. Okay. That is how active my Facebook account was when they shut me down over telling the truth about COVID. They shut down my account for telling the truth about COVID. We went to court with them, and the court wouldn't even hear the case because half of these judges are bought and paid for. And essentially, the judge came back with a decision that said, well, we think that what the doctor said was true. And now time has passed, and the doctors were clearly wrong about the vaccine. And that was thanks to fact checkers who just lied. Full-time just lied and gaslit people that were having reactions to the COVID vaccine. And so Zuckerberg has come out and said, I'm
one of them people who accounts is affected by the COVID and talking about it and information and knowledge, where fact checkers is the reason why they can block and mute my accounts when I'm talking and all of that. But it's proven that fact checkers will silence you more than actually check the information.
We maybe made some mistakes. We believe in more speech, and we're going to show you guys by getting rid of all these fact checkers. Let's take a listen to Mark Zuckerberg for as long as we can stand listening to Mark Zuckerberg.
There is electromagnetic energy in that pyramid between...
Hey everyone, I want to talk about something important today because it's time to get back to our roots around free expression on Facebook and Instagram. I started building social media to give people a voice. I gave a speech at Georgetown 5 years ago about the importance of protecting free expression, and I still believe this today. But a lot has happened over the last several years. There's been widespread debate about potential harms from online content. Governments and legacy media have pushed to censor more and more. A lot of this is clearly political, but there's also a lot of legitimately bad stuff out there. Drugs, terrorism, child exploitation. These are things that we take very seriously, and I want to make sure that we handle responsibly. So we built a lot of complex systems to moderate content. But the problem with complex systems is they make mistakes. Even if they accidentally censor just 1% of posts, that's millions of people. And we've reached a point where it's just too many mistakes and too much censorship. The recent elections also feel like a cultural tipping point towards once again prioritizing speech. So we're going to get back to our roots and focus on reducing mistakes, simplifying our policies, and restoring free expression on our platforms.
Okay, I'm not a hater, so I'll say that he looks a little better with longer hair. He used to look like a lizard, and so I think I just want to first not be a hater and say to Mark Zuckerberg that the long hair is looking good on you. You look more human. That said, I don't really buy anything that he's saying here whatsoever. What does that mean, get back to our roots? Like, now we believe in free speech because of the election results. I would just like to think that you believe in free speech because you live in America. Because you became a billionaire in America. However you became a billionaire, it's a complex CIA story. This is America, and it's given you everything. So I'd like to believe that that would be enough of an impetus to protect free speech. And I will say this, I'm going to, again, try to be as fair as possible, that in terms of our experience now across social media, I would say Meta is the least, and I'm speaking about Instagram, the least heavy-handed in terms of issuing strikes and stuff. TikTok has actually become the worst. I think that has more to do with TikTokers leaning pro-Palestine. But Meta has been fairly decent. That does not discount what has happened in the past and how many people have had their voices completely stifled. And so I just don't really buy that he somehow learned from his mistakes. All of this just feels like an operation to make us trust these people in Silicon Valley again. And I just don't think that I do. So I wanted to share this story because everybody is discussing it. And there are some people, by the way, that are furious about this on Facebook.
Now, because it's not about the people they shut down. It's like, they realize while doing this, let's be clear, there's a lot of people like extremists that like on their side that they like, okay, they wanted to stop us from talking to people like me who they kept messing up my pages. But what ended up happening, people on their side, techie guys, politicians was getting blocked too. And it hurt them in the first election with Biden and Trump. So now they're Trump in office, they're kind of like, well, it's like, nah, we don't trust y'all. We watch y'all turn social media into the monster it is in less than 5-6 years. In the last 5 years, this Facebook, we watched social media, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, close the walls on the creators and try to enslave us. The first they created it, then we started noticing it was a tool. And people like me, going back 7, 8, 9 years ago, had videos that I was posting with my music that was getting 30,000, 40,000, 27,000 without paying anything. And all of a sudden I watched them tighten up every year to the point where it was hard to get 1,000 views 2 years ago on a video. And the video would get up to like 300 and then it wouldn't even grow no more. And we couldn't understand, like, ain't nobody watching. Nah, they was fucking with the algorithms and making it hard so that you had to pay them. And so now they want us to believe, oh, we gonna be freedom of expression. Nah, we know y'all just at the beginning of the new year, just bought everything and made sure that it ain't gonna be too many people getting rich off the internet on their own without paying marketing and stuff like that, like you a record label. We know that. So now you want to lie to us.
Facebook. Look at some of these comments. They're upset. Facebook is heading the way of other antiquated and outdated services. Next person, so disappointed. Kissing the ring was not what I had in mind for better content policy. These people are basically begging for their speech to be censored. Trevor Smith writes, calling fact checkers biased. Facts are facts, but clearly some people want to create their own facts. Sadly, I must now consider what your platform now represents. Okay, bye, Trevor. Get off the platform, Trevor. He's saying literally they got things wrong. The biggest thing being COVID. Like, they could not have been more patently wrong because they went hand in hand with the government and allowed random people under the Biden administration to say, oh, just take that down. It doesn't serve our narrative. So we need you to get this down until we get everybody to roll up their sleeves and get a vaccine. Anyways, they are trying to make good on this by appointing new members to their board of directors, one of them being Dana White, who I absolutely love and I trust with everything in me. I'm telling you, he is a good guy, like 100%. Love Dana White. But I wonder how much power Dana White will have as just one of the members of the board of directors, or if this is all just to make us feel more comfortable. Actually, I should text Dana after this and ask him what he thinks about Mark Zuckerberg. I even think him growing out his hair is trying to make us trust him more. You know what I'm saying? Anyways, I just wanted to get to that, to let you guys know that is apparently happening.
I'm going to tell you why I don't trust Mark Zuckerberg, because when he so-called sold Facebook, he went and claimed citizenship in I believe whatever country he's from, Germany or whatever, or wherever he went, Europe. So when he sold it, he knew that they were about to do something.
happening if you are interested in engaging in Facebook content again. I do think that they were really behind all these speech restrictions. Speaking of speech restrictions, yesterday on my show, I made a mistake. I said that Brett Cooper was coming back this week, and it turns out somebody has pointed out to me that she is actually not coming back this week, so I'm issuing this correction. Where did I get that from? I actually thought that I read this on her X feed. I thought that she said that she'd be posting some content when she crossed 500,000 subscribers. Updating you guys on this story, by the way, in general, because I have been obsessed with it. Like many people on the internet, I have never seen a story generate so much content. But eventually she will be.
I want to go to the next thing. She kind of got off the topic of Justin Bieber as much. But I want to, years ago, I brought stories about, it was a couple stories I brought about people all over the world who, like this little girl told her mom she was driving, she was like 5, like, you don't remember, you don't know who I am? And she was like, girl, what you talking about? She's like, I'm your mom. Like, she didn't tell her I was a mom. She was just telling us that she like, I was cold. Like, she said, I'm your mother. And she like, girl, stop talking crazy then. She was talking about how she was cold and it took him so long. She was thinking like, how would she know that? Because my mom died and we had to keep on ice for extra week or 2, right? She's like, how would we know? You know what I'm saying? Like, how would this little girl know that this information and her mother was basically dead and they had to keep her in the freezer a week so everybody in the family get there? And she was like, I was so cold and y'all took so long. Or the story where the dude kept telling the person he was with, like, he was probably like 17, he kept telling him like, yo, I got murdered, some people set me up. This and that. And nobody believed him until the investigators or people around him went to this place and the psychiatrist went to look because they thought he was crazy. And the girl opened the door and was saying how her brother had got killed years ago and a group of boys are jealous of him, exactly what he said. So it's a story like that. And y'all tell me how it's so much we don't know. This little boy, basically when he turned 3, he hadn't been to school, his family ain't from New York, don't know nothing about nothing. But he's saying that he remembered dying in the World Trade Center. Right? See, there's a lot that we don't understand about life, right? Dreams, connections, spirit, right? So I just want to keep that with you. See, people tend to feel what they don't understand. So I wanted to say this to the people that got gifts or unique expressions and people don't understand you, it's okay. But you got to find, he has to find his calling and why he still has his connection and understand how to express this to people. But remember, people are not going to understand you when you're very unique, and you have to learn to accept it. I think it's one of the deepest stories that I probably covered, but we could deny it. This would be one situation where we consider proof. You know what I mean? What would you do? Would you tell the family? Would you try to connect the dot? How would you feel if you came in with all your understanding as a child at 3, you knew who you were, you knew where you came from, you knew you died, all this stuff. How would you cope? Of course you can't play with other kids. You're not a kid mentally. You're in prison in a child's body, right? And for my last part of the day, I want to get a special part. And you know, during these I back out and let y'all enjoy the lecture. You know, rest in peace, Francis Cress Welsing. Let's get to it. Organic Minds.
White supremacy. A tribute to Dr. Francis Cress Welsing and Mr. Nelly Fuller. As long as white supremacy is alive and well, a white man's heaven is a black man's hell. Uncle Sam and Jim Crow are the ostracizers of the game, and that old skinhead Ku Klux spirit is still the same. As a man-child of the sun, I've got melanin on my mind. Can't afford to be simply deaf, dumb, and blind, and white supremacy is the bottom line. And as long as white supremacy is alive and still kicking ass, freedom, justice, and equality will never come to pass. Many look, but few ever really see. The most unjust dynamic in the world is white supremacy. Hi, I'm Danny Queen, and welcome to another edition of Color Me Poetry. I'd like to welcome my most illustrious guest, the Honorable Dr. Francis Cress Welsing. Welcome.
I'm
Dr.
glad
Welsing.
to be here, Dan.
Tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got started in your career.
Well, I am a general psychiatrist and child psychiatrist. I'm from Chicago, but I have been in Washington, D.C. since 1958 when I came to medical school at Howard University. and did all of my training in general psychiatry at St. Elizabeth's Hospital and child psychiatry at Children's Hospital here in Washington. And I have been interested. Things didn't start out that way, but I became interested in how to solve the mental health problems and other healthcare problems faced by Black people. And I began to realize that until the problem of racism was solved, that Black people were going to have difficulty as far as their health collectively, totally is concerned. And I made up my mind, let me find out about racism.
Now, how many of your colleagues agree with you? How many know what you're saying is true and agree with you?
Well, I don't think that I mean, I understand your question, but that's not an important consideration. In other words, when you step into new territory, the reason that you have to step into new territory is because other people haven't been there before you. So it would be like asking Einstein, if you will, well, do your colleagues agree with relativity theory? He felt that there was a vacuum in an area of understanding. He moved into the vacuum. Eventually, people caught up to what he had in mind.
As I find that as an artist, sometimes it's like that too, because sometimes, not that you intend to be, but sometimes you have a tendency to be ahead of the pack, if you will.
Well, that you may not, you see, the artist who may step in a new direction doesn't say, I am going to step into a new direction to be ahead of the pack. No, they are inspired or motivated or moved as an individual person to go in one direction. And it then becomes apparent that they are ahead of the pack.
I know, for instance, I did a piece in my book called South Africa some time ago. And at the time when I wrote it, some 10, 12 years ago, it wasn't at the forefront.
Exactly.
And now it's, I mean, you see the changes coming about and stuff.
Exactly.
But at the time when I wrote that piece, I wasn't thinking, oh, I'm gonna be ahead of.
Exactly.
I wasn't even thinking in terms of that at all.
Well, as I move around, I mean, whenever I move around the city, and I started writing about racism effectively or thinking about it intensively in 1967 and started talking about it openly from 1970, following my writing about the Cress theory, color confrontation, and racism, white supremacy. And now, whenever I move about town, I could be in Woody's, I could be at Union Station, I could be on the street. Somebody might come up to me and say, you know, let me shake your hand, or you don't know me, but I started hearing you talk in 1970, and I knew you were crazy. You see, but now, 20 years later, I understand what you were talking about. And so that's very interesting to me to have people say that, but it meant that you were talking about something in a manner that was unfamiliar and people couldn't connect with it. But as the flow of time moves on, do you see, then you become right on time as far as a larger number of people.
So at the time, when you were working at Howard, people thought you were very radical and all.
You mean when I was teaching at Howard University? Well, my experience at Howard, because I had gone to medical school there and, you know, knew the people who were on the faculty and they knew me as a student. I taught there from 1968 to 1975. And people didn't, I mean, they considered that I was Francis Cress or Francis Cress Welsing. And I don't feel that they felt generally that I was that radical person. Maybe I became, after other people said, well, she's radical. Okay, then we have to look at this person who we are very familiar with as being this radical.
And now?
Person.
Now it's a lot different, because a lot of things that you had said back then had come to pass.
Well, this is what people say.
Wow. Let's talk also about your theory.
The Cress theory?
The Cress theory.
Well, the Cress theory is a thesis about racism, white supremacy. And as I was explaining earlier, I got involved in this thinking when I was doing a residency in general psychiatry at St. Elizabeth's Hospital and encountering Black patients that essentially had been cast to the side. You know, we're not really interested in the Black patient. We're interested in other kinds of patients, namely white patients. And I don't think that that is uncommon, you know, as we look back on our historic experience, that people were not zeroing in and being interested. I mean, one could translate that today when we have a lot of Black young people, young male people who are getting into difficulty with drugs and guns. And nobody looks at them and says, I wonder why these children are having these problems. They just lump it in the category of being bad and crime-ridden. Do you see? So that same attitude was what prevailed generally when I began training in psychiatry. And so I started, wait a minute, I'm a third-generation physician in my family. My father was a physician, his father was a physician. And I grew up with the attitude that your responsibility as a physician is to address the medical and health needs of your people, people like yourself. Not that you would exclude anybody, but your priority responsibility. And so I, started talking to Black patients in a psychiatric hospital, and I became impressed by the fact that racism was causing great distress in these lives. I mean, the patient wouldn't say, I'm being impacted, doctor, by racism, but they would describe what they had experienced, do you see, and understanding, well, this is a product of racism. So that racism was causing depression, causing drug use, and other kinds of problems that patients face. And so I said, let me understand it. To myself, I have to understand this if I'm going to really be effective as a physician. I mean, an effective physician doesn't just, oh, the patient has a cough. Oh, the patient is depressed, and write that down in your notes and give some medication. An effective physician, in my viewpoint, is a scientist who will say, what is causing this? Because only when you say, what is the etiology, what is the causation, can you move towards curing the problem, and most importantly, preventing it from going forward. And so I was looking for this answer, and had the very good fortune of meeting Mr. Nelly Fuller, Nelly Fuller Jr., who is a citizen of the District of Columbia. And he, on his own, I met him following a Black Power committee meeting. That's back in the 60s, 1967 to be exact. And he was a person attending a meeting who, after I met him, I realized that he had been writing about this topic of racism going back to the Korean War when he was a soldier in the Korean War. And he said on a radar site in Japan, he started thinking about what was happening in the area of the world that we call the United States around the issue of color. And he started putting together his ideas. And when I met him and heard him talk about racism as a global system of power, where persons who classify themselves as white would maintain power over people who they classified as the non-whites, meaning the Black, brown, red, and yellow people. And he said the system was operative in all areas of activity: economics, education, entertainment, labor, law, politics, religion, sex, and war. And so that just blew my mind. I said, wow, that seems to be a very, very important idea. And after talking with him over a period of time, I started thinking, but why? Do you see? In other words, why would they do this? This is a new description of a very critical phenomenon on the planet Earth. I say that racism is the most important phenomenon that anybody can investigate and study, not for the purpose of putting anyone down, but again, scientifically. This is a critical phenomenon that is impacting the lives of the vast majority of people on this planet in a negative way. And so if we're going to have justice on the planet, so therefore we can have peace, somebody has to probe deeply and understand this problem. And so he had outlined this system. And I guess as a psychiatrist who's always wondering further about the why of behavior. So I thought, well, this seems to describe what I have experienced in my travels in the world, that you don't get away from racism. Racism is everywhere. If you go to Europe, it's there. If you go to Mexico, it's there. What would cause it? And that's how I got into my work, the Cress theory, by going, I would say, I don't want to say deeper, but going to another level. Because Mr. Fuller, and this is his book, the textbook for victims of white supremacy.
Dynamic book, I'm gonna say.
A
Too.
most powerful and dynamic book. And so I worked with him for from 1967 to 1984,
if I can
so that we could publish this book. And, you know, that was even something interesting. If somebody said you work with this gentleman 17 years to make certain that his work is published, I would not have believed it at the time, but I was so impacted by the significance of what he had to say that I said, this has to be published. So we went through a number of twists and turns to bring it about, and it was a trip that took 17 years. But now the book is published, and I consider it to be one of the most important books of the 20th century. And my work just said, well, why would behavior be organized in this way, do you see, with white over non-white, or a tiny minority over the majority people on the planet? And I came up with the paper that's entitled The Cress Theory of Color Confrontation. Cress is my maiden name. I was married at the time. I think I was divorced, maybe. But I said, no, I will name this paper, give it my family name. And what I said in that paper is that the dilemma that the white minority population on planet Earth found itself in after we're sort of into now the voyages of discovery, the 500-year celebration of that.
Of the Columbus line.
But after persons, you know, came out of Europe and circumnavigated the globe, and Columbus was at the lead of persons from Europe circumnavigating the globe. It had been done by other people, but this was the first time for European people. And he found that every place, not Columbus, but the other people who participated in the voyages of discovery, found out that every place they landed, there were people of color. And they also found out in a very short period of time that the people of color were genetically dominant. In other words, if you mix black plus white, your product is going to be colored because of the genetic dominance of the ability to produce melanin skin pigmentation and the genetic recessive character of the inability to produce melanin that allows skin to appear white or causes skin to appear white. And so that really is the basis of the Cress theory of color confrontation and racism. So once I pulled those ideas together, and it's a short paper, 13 pages. Initially, the Cress theory was, I began, it was like opening up a door where you see, oh, wow, I never thought about the problem in this way. But once I start thinking about the problem in this way, then many, many things become clear. You see patterns of behavior that just seem peculiar.
Things just come to you.
It became clear why we were seeing such things as lynching, what such things as justifiable homicide, such things as the inability to have gun control, or why people are interested in ball games. All of those things begin to become, oh, I understand this, within the framework of understanding racism, white supremacy in greater depth. And so I wrote a number of papers after presenting. The first paper I wrote was, as I said, the Cress theory of color confrontation and racism. And that paper was presented at the National Medical Association.
And you published this yourself.
And I published it myself. Do you see? And I advocate that because I went to a couple of people.
Dr. Welsing, can we ask that you hold your point? We have to take a break.
Oh, sure.
Right back. We're here with Dr. Frances Cress Welsing. We're going to be right back. We're going to take a break. This is Color Me Poetry.
A miracle in the making, forming eyes, fingers, and toes. A human fetus growing inside its mother. But even miracles need care, early and constant prenatal care. If you're pregnant, visit a doctor or a clinic now. This advice from the March of Dimes.
A developing baby is a miracle, but when the mother drinks, alcohol in her blood can hit hard, causing everything from minor abnormalities to fetal alcohol syndrome, with a range of birth defects, including mental retardation. We don't yet know how much alcohol is too much, but FAS can't happen if you don't drink. Warning, alcohol can be hazardous to your unborn baby's health, and we want your baby to be perfect.
Welcome back to Color Me Poetry. We're here with Dr. Frances Cress Welsing. Dr. Welsing, you were talking about the papers that went in to make the new book.
Papers.
The ISIS papers.
Well, I started with the Cress theory, as I've said, and then a number of ideas came to me as a result of the Cress theory. And so I wrote about those various topics, and they ended up being symbolic dimensions of the system of racism or the system of white supremacy.
So once you did the ISIS papers, kind of, as you might say, opened the floodgates for many other ideas on another whole nother level.
Right. But I never thought, well, I'm going to do a book. I would write papers and present them to my colleagues in psychiatry at the National Medical Association, which was a Black medical association.
What would be their response?
Well, they would find it interesting. You know, maybe everybody didn't find it interesting. Maybe people said, oh, well, I don't know. I mean, you know, people many times don't come to you with their negative ideas. But many people were interested. And I ended up being one of the people that you'd have large numbers of people coming to, if I was going to present a paper, people look at the program.